One question I want to ask Akio, you've been skiing professionally for a couple of years now. Yeah. Um, and kind of something that I've struggled with a little bit in the short time since I've graduated is like, basically and I think you might have mentioned this, but it's a selfish endeavor to be a professional athlete. And I was just wondering, like, how over the years you have kind of balanced the pursuit of being like the best person that you can be while still remaining active in the community, and just like exist as a human being and not completely seclude yourself um, as just an athlete. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for that. First, thanks for sharing that, Lyndon. That was insightful, and I appreciate that response. For your question, Bill, I also appreciate that question because this is, in my eyes, one of the hardest parts for me skiing professionally. Not only with, as I kind of mentioned earlier, but my upbringing, but also I felt like I was given a great opportunity to go to college, but also an elite college where I had these experiences with a lot of diversity, as many and most college students at least are able to have if they pursue that. And skiing, it was a challenge to feel that maybe I couldn't fully apply myself to making an impact in some of these things that I think are important while just skiing, whether it's because you're isolated geographically or through time commitments of, oh, well, maybe I can have a part-time job, or maybe I can do a little bit of volunteering work with some organization, but we don't have a ton of time to give and a ton of energy to give to, oh, I'm going to go to this organization this night and then go to this organization and help volunteer, which is a challenge. And yeah, it's definitely something I'm not going to say I mastered, and something I struggle with quite frequently and continue to struggle and work with. But I think in some ways it also creates an opportunity. And I think the fact that like people like you, at least, and some others, that you're having these thoughts shows that's like kind of a first step of, this is what you're interested in. You see this as an issue and something you're trying to focus on. And that's, I think, a great first step. From there, and I've been thinking about this a lot, especially in the past 3 weeks or so, is how can I make the most impact where I am? And where I am is a choice. Right now, I'm choosing to be here and to ski. And how can I make the most impact where I am here? And could I be doing other things? And would those other things be more fulfilling? And what would be my impact in those other pursuits? And I have one thing I like to teach. And so I've had some time, I've worked as a tutor for several years, tutoring with kids, both as part of an organization in Bend, and then individually since I've been here. And I really enjoy that. It allows me to connect somewhat, at least with a few individuals in Bend, more than a few. But the idea of, I kind of think like, okay, approaching it next year, it's a commitment to continue skiing. And I think about some of the other things I might like to do, is whether it was, oh, maybe I'd like to teach, use like a Teach for America or something. If you think about an opportunity like that, well, what is your actual impact? And just because you are in interaction with maybe minority kids, or if you're working in an inner city school, maybe you're working with some of these communities of color or Black people. We were talking about the Black, Indigenous, and people of color. Maybe we're working specifically with these communities, but is your impact inherently going to be greater in that environment? And I think it will still come back to you as an individual. How do you prioritize your time and your commitments? and maximize the environment you're in, create the most difference. And I don't think you have to be in that sort of setting to do that. And when you look at the net impact, you know, it's hard to measure that net impact. And if you maximize your impact in a community where you are involved and you have strong connections with the individuals you are with, I think you can make a big difference in individuals' lives, even if those individuals are more limited in number, or at least seem that way. So I think it's a hard thing to measure in that sense. And I think valuing what we are doing and the opportunities we have every day. I mean, as Lyndon was just saying, speaking up when you hear someone say something that you think is discriminatory or not inclusive or intentionally offensive, even just small actions like that can be really important. And so I'm trying to find ways to maximize those things, because if I don't feel that I am maximizing my impact in the community I'm in, I think I really struggle to be a good skier. And I think that they really are, for me at least, tied. That if I feel that I'm just taking all the time and just trying to better myself, kind of more on like a physical level of doing the training, you know, lifting hard, skiing hard, training hard, like, well, for me, you're leaving out an emotional and a mental side that is also extremely important, especially when you come to racing. And for me, part of that comes from the fulfillment of being involved in the community and helping give back and helping learn lessons and then turn around and share those lessons as much as I can.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna say I necessarily do those things extremely well, but those are at least things I think about a lot and try to focus on. And I think starting with the question as you are is a great place to start from.